Hello everybody, this is Paige from Mosaic Moments, and today I have a video about how to combine the corner cutout dies and the steps dies to make amazing layouts. So the beginning part of this video will be about how to design your layouts with these dies, and then you want to stay through the end because I show a little tutorial on how I make a page with these dies. Alright, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, I want to tell you guys real quick that the reason why I wanted to show you how to design your own layouts with the corner cutout and the steps dies is because you can't really find them on the pattern gallery, and it's because the pattern gallery everything is a square or rectangle shape, and the majority of all the dies, except for the ones I'm showing today, fill in a rectangular or a square shape. But at this time, the program we use does not allow us to do other shapes. So if you look at this one on the screen here, it looks like a plus sign. We can't make that in our gallery. So that's what makes the corner cutouts and the steps dies a little bit different, is they don't actually make a full-on square or rectangle shape. So I'm going to show you guys how you can design your own layouts with these dies, and also I will put a link in the description below this video of the layouts and layout ideas I'm going to be showing today. So go check that out after you're done with the video and you want to make a page. That's definitely a good resource. Alright, so whether or not you're going to combine steps or the corner cutouts together, the first thing you want to do is decide on what you want in the middle. And I find it's easiest to work with these dies when you choose the center part and then you build on. So here I have right in the middle is the 4 corner cutout die, and this is a great option if you have a photo that's a little bit closer up. It obviously has to be kind of right in the center to fit in that die space correctly. So this would be a good little medium size photograph that would fit here. So once you choose your center, you're going to start adding on the other dies. So right here I added we'll say the 3x3 steps dies. So what I would do is look at your photographs and see how big are they. Are they subjects really far away that you can crop them a little bit smaller, or if they're really close, maybe you need to crop them a little bit bigger. So that's how I would determine, is look at your photos and see how they can be cropped. And then you can explore and see how you can fill in the space with the other dies. So this is one option, is to have that 4 corner cutout in the center, and then I experimented and I could see, and this is a really common one we do actually, is the 4 corner cutout and then the 3x3 size steps dies going around it, which makes a very nice shape in the middle here. And then of course I build up from there. Now what I could have done is done the whole outer edge with 2x2 squares, but I wanted to keep using the corner cutout dies, so I used the 3x3 size corner cutout dies here, which would be great if you don't have a lot of photos that could fill in a 2x2 size and you want something a little bit bigger. You can go with the 3x3 corner cutout, which I put in the corners here. So again, just look at your photos and see how you can build your page with the kind of photos you have, and experiment with the dies and see how they can fit on a layout. So here's another option with the 4 corner cutout in the middle. So a previous page, it was pretty simple and it was very symmetrical, right? So this one, it's a little more complex. There's a lot more shapes going on here. I have the little 3x3 4 corner cutout, 2 of the steps dies, and I have the 3x3 corner cutout. So there's a lot more going on. So the page is really, you have to decide if you want it to be more simple or do you want it to be more complex looking anyway. So you kind of have to decide on what kind of look you're going for. A very structured look. This kind of page here is a little more fun to me. So if you have like more fun photos, I would go with this fun radial design and put in lots of different shapes. And I also want to point out, I find these dies work best if you're making them into a symmetrical layout like I showed previously, or a radial design, which is like our pinwheel patterns on the gallery. So kind of expect that whenever you're going to combine the steps and the corner cutout, that it's probably going to be symmetrical or radial layout. All right, here I have another option for what you can put in the middle. Here there's 4 3x3 steps dies, and this is a great option if you can kind of crop your photos to sort of a medium size and you have 4 different photos you want to show and for your focal point here. This is a great option. And I do this, I really like this look a lot for the steps dies pages. All right, here I added 4 3x3 corner cutout dies right next to the steps dies. You can see how they fit perfectly with each other, and that's why the corner cutout and steps dies work so well with each other, is because they just fit together, right? So here, this is a great option if you just have a lot of photographs that can be cropped down to a medium size. So that would be if you have people in it, if they're fairly far away, or if their face can fit into these spots, or this could be great if you have a lot of decorative photos like flowers and things like that. And of course, I needed to fill in the rest of the page, and so I added 4 in each corner, the little corner cutout die, the smallest one from that set, and the rest of it's just basic square shapes. So you want to think about when designing your layouts how many photos you want to put on a page. So if you want to put on a lot of photos, you want to add in a lot of the smaller dies. The smaller corner cutouts and the smaller steps dies are the best options if you want to put in a lot of different photographs. So here I have the same center, but instead of using the 3x3 corner cutout, I decided, you might have some photos that are close up and they can't fit small spaces, so you can opt to do something like the 4 corner cutout, which here looks really big. You could also fill the same corner spaces with the 4x4 corner cutout. So this one's the 4 corner cutout and the other one's just corner cutout. So yeah, you have to look at your photos and see how many you have and also see what size they are. And if you don't have a lot of photographs, this kind of design would be great. So on the previous design, I filled in some of the space with 2x2 squares, which would be great. But if you didn't have a lot of photographs to fill in the rest of the space, you could opt to use the smaller corner cutout die. And you can use that to cut out some paper or some decorative photos if you just didn't have anything to fill in the rest of the space. So that's the benefit of the really tiny pieces. If you don't have a lot of photographs, you can use the tiny pieces to cut pattern paper to fill in your space. And here I have 4 4x4 corner cutout dies. So obviously that fills up a really big space, and this is a great option. This size is really nice if you have portraits or other close-ups. So sometimes we have a lot of close-ups, or you just don't have a lot of photographs and you want to use up less space. So this is a great option if you didn't have a lot of photographs or they're very close up. The steps dies in each corners could also be great spots for photographs, or you can let them just be patterned paper. And of course, since this layout has really big dies in the middle, there's less flexibility on what to do in the outside. So if you have a small middle, you're going to have a lot of flexibility in what to do, whereas if it's a bigger middle, there's less flexibility on what you can do with the dies. And another option you can do for the middle is just putting in a 2x2 square, which is a great spot if you want to add in a 2x2 cornerstone, or if you just want to keep it basic in the middle. So that is another option for using the corner cutout and the steps dies as well. And here I decided to add on to the middle by putting in, you could make a very symmetrical layout by having the 2x2 square and then putting 4 3x3 corner cutouts around it, but here I wanted a fun radial look, so I put in the 3x3 corner cutout dies, but also on the other sides I put in the 4x4 corner cutout dies to give it a unique look. So as I said before, if you have bigger elements, you're going to have less flexibility on what to do. So here I have the 4x4 corner cutout dies, and you can see right next to them in the corners, the elements are really small. So I have the really small corner cutout die in each corner, and I have a 1x3 block next to them. And outside of that, you can't really do much. I could have made it all 1 by 1 inch squares too. But like I said, not a ton of options. But where the 3 by 3 corner cutouts are, you can see I have the 4 by 4 step die, and each side has 2 of the little corner cutout dies. So, but this is kind of a nice look because on one diagonal it has a very simple look, and in the other diagonal it has this fun, kind of more complex look. And I kind of like this layout because it fits both. Like if you had photographs, you could fit larger photographs and photographs that could be cropped smaller too. So it's fun to kind of have that mix of the big and small. All right, this layout here also has the 2 by 2 die in the middle, but you can see this page looks very different, and it's because I use a lot of smaller elements. So it still has that radial design, except there's the 3 by 3 corner cutout and the smallest little 2 by 2 corner cutout. And that allowed me, like I said, to give my page more flexibility on what to do. So this really is a fun radial layout. And there is some basic blocks in here, which is really nice if not all your photographs can fit a corner cutout or steps die space. So that's why I think having the basic die shapes are good for these layouts too, because not all your, like I said, not all your photos could fit into those other spaces, right? And also here I have 2 4 by 4 step dies on the edges. So just so you know, if you're going to cut those with photographs, it's going to have to be a 5 by 7 photograph because they're too large for a 4 by 6. And with that, this is our last layout of this video, and this is the layout I chose to make my page out of. So let's watch that demo now. So to use these dies, you will of course need a die machine. This is the Revolution from We Are Memory Keepers. And again, the largest die in the step set, it is too big for a 4 by 6 photograph. So if you do want to use a photo, you will need a 5 by 7, which I am using here. And I'm going to place it over my photograph, which by the way, we do have a video tutorial on the steps dies if you want to learn more specifically about this die. And I'm going to use this is a crease pad, which we use it because it helps. Sometimes when you cut the photographs, it gets a little indent, and that helps you avoid getting that, versus if you were going to use the plastic plate that comes with the machines. All right, so once you cut that through, you can take the portion you cropped out of your photograph. All right. So I like using decorative photographs to fill in these 4 by 4 step die spaces. And what I do is I just scooch the die over so it's right next to my previous cut, which is really nice. It makes cropping easy in my opinion. And of course, I'm going to roll it through the machine again. Okay, I'm almost done here, and then I'm going to take it off and it'll be ready to go on my layout once I get it out of my photograph here. All right. Next, I'm going to cut with the 3 by 3 corner cutout die. So before I had the steps, and this one is the corner cutout, and I'm just going to cut it with a piece of cardstock. So this one's going to be the actual measurements of the grid paper, and my photographs are going. So all the steps dies do not come with we call it layering dies. So it'll cut it to the size that will layer on top of your mat. But the corner cutouts do come with the layering size, except for the smallest dies in the set. So the 3 by 3, again, here I'm cutting it to the size that'll actually fit the grid paper measurements. And then my photographs will be cut with the layering size, which again is what we call our dies that don't actually fit the grid measurements. They are measured to be laid on top of those sizes. So of course, when cutting your photographs, you want to make sure, like here, I had to make sure that little notch was in the direction I wanted to cut, or else your photo might be upside down or sideways. So you want to pay attention to which way your die is placed on the photograph to make sure it's going to be cut in the direction you want. And if you notice here on this photograph, it's covered up by the crease pad right now, but my subject, she was taken at a distance. So that's what I prefer. I don't really like to cut body parts off of people usually, so I like to make sure they fit within the space I'm cropping. So this is a great size if you have a subject of a person, or here I have a small group of people. I like it when they're a little bit farther away and can fit within that space. All right, so here I did make sure that my corner cutout die was flipped in a different direction. So again, want to make sure that it's going to fit on the grid paper the way I want. And a reminder, I am cutting these with the layering sizes. Like I said, the layering size just means it's cut to be layered on top of the sizes that'll fit on the grid paper. If you have any questions about that, let me know. And also, we do have another tutorial about the corner cutout dies, so check that out. I'll have a link on the top right here. And my last cut is using this little tiny corner cutout die. I really like it. I really love this little die because it's so fun to fill it in with corners. Whether you combine the steps or corner cutout dies, even if you just had a layout with all basic dies, I really like how this corner die because that's a little fun. It makes little fun corners on your layout. So I love this die. And it is really small. So if you have a photograph, it needs to be something like I call it decorative photographs. When I say that, I mean something that doesn't have a subject like a person. It has something like flowers or even things like stone, things that kind of make a decorative look on your layout, not really a main subject. You could, of course, fit a main subject in these, but they'd have to be really, really tiny and really far away. So usually with these, just like here, I'm just using it to cut pattern paper, which I like using pattern paper on my layouts. There's so many pretty pattern papers out there, so let me know below if you like pattern paper on your layouts. All right, I cut this last one here, and of course, it's really easy to use. That's what I like about the corner cutout and step dies, is they're not complicated at all. Really, it's just about designing your layout first, and then when you actually get to make the page, it goes by really quick. Some of the quickest tutorials I've made have been with these dies. All right, right in the center here, that photograph was cut with the 2x2 die from die set A. And of course, I'm just going to build on from here. And of course, I do recommend planning out the page before you actually cut the photographs, but you can see here how it's kind of built. So I have that 2x2 center. And of course, you can play around and see how the other dies are going to fit. And I use my repositionable glue here once I've decided on where I want to place each element. The repositionable glue, by the way, is really handy for these dies because sometimes you have to pick them up and reposition the mats because sometimes you don't get it lined up quite right the first time you put it down. So I recommend take your time to put these on the grid paper. And of course, once you get that done, you can add your photographs on top. Usually just kind of have to eyeball it. I feel like on the corner cutouts, you have to be particularly careful and take your time putting the photograph right in the middle here because that notch part kind of can throw your eye off a little bit. All right, and now I'm going to get the second one in. Okay, and again, take your time. There's no need to rush the process, right? See, I'm taking my time here because it's a little bit tricky. All right, and then next I'm going to put on, I always go biggest to smallest generally on a lot of pages, but here I prefer with these dies to start with the middle and then put in the elements going out from the middle. So here I'm going to put on the 4x4 steps dies, which are really big. And again, if you want to use these with a photograph, you need it to print a 5x7. There is not a layering die size for the steps dies. And of course, it's also great if you want to add in pattern paper. All right, so now I'm building in the rest of the elements here. So these little corner cutouts can fit right next to that 2x2 die. Again, I could have filled this space with more 3x3s, but I wanted to make my page a little more fun, a little more complex looking, so I decided to go with more smaller elements for this layout. A lot of my we live by Colonial Williamsburg, and I'm sure a lot of you have taken photos of different places and your pages start kind of looking the same. So I wanted to do a Colonial Williamsburg page, but with these dies I have an option to make a more unique layout, because usually in the past they're mostly done with the basic dies. So this was a fun one to do with the Colonial Williamsburg photographs. Right now I'm placing down my photographs here that were cut with the 2x3 die from set C, and these other two photographs, the matte and the photographs, were cut with dies from set A. And it is nice to have some basic shapes in your corner cutout and steps die layouts, because sometimes your photographs not all of the photographs necessarily work with those shapes. Alright, so for the rest of the space, I could clearly use this corner cutout die. It's the smallest one from the corner cutout set, but I decided to fill these in with 1x1 inch squares instead, which you can make this with the 1x1 die in set A, or you can cut multiple of them with the grid die as well. Alright, I'm going to place the rest of these 1x1 inch squares on the layout. Definitely take your time as you place these on any of your layouts, because the little squares tend to look crooked more than the bigger blocks for some reason. So definitely make sure you glue those down along the grid lines carefully. And I'm finished with my page, but I think there's a little bit too much of the peach here, so I'm going to make a slight adjustment. So I decided there wasn't enough of that light purple color on the layout. They were all covered up by photographs before, and I felt like there was a bit too much of that peach color. I thought it overwhelmed the layout a little bit too much. So I decided to replace just a few of the blocks with the light purple color, and as you can see, it actually makes quite a bit of difference just doing that. So a little change can go a long way. If your layouts don't look quite right, you can always make some slight adjustment and it can make a big impression. Alright, so we have actually reached the end of today's video. I hope you learned a lot about combining the corner cutout and the steps dies together. They're really fun, and they are actually really easy to use. They're really fast to cut out, as you can see, and they can make really fun layouts. This is a really fun layout, especially since I use Colonial Williamsburg photos. As I mentioned before, I make pages with these photographs a lot since we live right by it, and so I like having a page that looks a little bit different from what I would usually do. So, and I also hope today you learned a lot about designing layouts, so hopefully you got a lot of tips about that today. And if you have any questions, just let me know in the comments below. I really appreciate when you guys leave comments and ask questions, and I'm very happy to help out with any questions you have. So, all right, thank you for watching today's video, and I'll see you next time.